Good morning, everyone. So, more Street Fighter V news. So, we know Capcom is planning to continue to work on Street Fighter V and add content to it and characters. But for how long exactly? Well, in a recent Famitsu interview, it's going to be a long ass time. Apparently, like another 4 years. So, Famitsu asked Ono in the interview, so moving back to the earlier subject, how far does your current roadmap for Street Fighter V development go? And Ono replied, it's not just a 1 to 2 year thing. We're looking pretty far ahead. We planned out as far as 2020 or so. 2020 is a really long time. No surprise considering the history of how long Street Fighter games last for. They get revisions and such, but we're just getting Street Fighter V. Hopefully by 2020 we'll get those Alex and Ibuki nostalgic costumes, right? But anyways, Famitsu also asked, are we going to see other titles than Street Fighter during that time as well? Ono replied, I'd be happy if we could, but first we have to solidify Street Fighter V as an esports title. I said in the beginning that we've seen a higher number of entrants than we've had in Street Fighter 4 era, but we'd like to heighten that even further. So he also said the more people participate, the bigger the tournaments we can host, and the more people are going to watch them, which is directly connected with our sales, and that's going to decide the future. This was really strange because now Ono is talking about just about esports. Before we've had interviews with Ono, and they're talking about increasing Street Fighter V sales with casual content, arcade mode, the story mode that we waited for, and just content in general. But now they're just talking about esports. Like it seems very clear now that they understand that the casual side of Street Fighter V is hopeless at this point unless they relaunch a disc, relaunch a revision, or because, you know, the story mode, like we know, their projection was 2 million sales. It's 1.2 million, probably to this day. And the story mode and all that didn't help. But the esports scene is rising and rising, and it's huge, for sure. Another thing, too, about Ono says, like, they asked them if they're making any more, like, fighting game titles. And then Ono said he'd be happy if he could, but they want to solidify Street Fighter V first. This is kind of scary, knowing that, you know, Street Fighter V is going to be their only fighting game title, or one of their only fighting titles, especially with the crazy MVC4 rumors going around, and especially for people that are really hoping for a Darkstalkers game, of course. I still think the way I know this is a little off topic, but I still think the way they've tried to figure out how to, if we wanted Darkstalkers or not, was definitely going around the wrong way. Like, we had the petition, but they tried re-releasing Darkstalkers to see if we wanted a new Darkstalkers. It's kind of a strange way of doing it. It's kind of like, you know, re-releasing Halo 1 to see if we want Halo 6. I don't know. But anyways, back to this. There's no denying that the esports scene is really strong for Street Fighter V, of course, but it mainly, especially when it's bigger than Street Fighter 4's was, but it mainly has to do with the insane amount of official tournaments there are and the ridiculous prize pot size for Capcom Cup Finals. If the pot size stays the same or is even larger, then yes, it will grow. But honestly, it's mostly because of the money. And that's not a bad thing either, for sure. The company to support it and to make it worthwhile for people to compete. Absolutely. But I know this is an extreme example, but the other like top esports games right now have like an insanely large casual side as well, with a constant amount of income. We got like League of Legends, for example, with constant skins coming out all the fucking time, and they have their own loot box system. Counter-Strike has a giant casual fan base, and they have their own loot boxes. Overwatch, loot boxes. Dota, loot boxes. They're both strong in the esports and the casual side. Now, like I said, this is a very unfair comparison because we're talking about fighting games here. But in terms of fighting games, Street Fighter V is pretty damn huge, esports side. So if they can rely on their sponsors and the viewers to give the game money, then that's great. Then Capcom has to figure out other ways to get more people into the esports scene. And if they want to do that for Season 2, they really need to get on letting people know that an esports scene exists. There are people, the casual players out there that don't even know, like, we got that EVO announcement, what was that, 2 days, maybe 1 day before the tournament actually happened. Their bulletin board or whatever, when you go into the dashboard for Street Fighter V, they got to basically close the servers to update that thing half the time. And they need the people to know what's going on. Like, the launcher needs to be changed, man. You know, if you go on, like, Battle.net, for example, they're like, here's all the the tournaments that are coming on next week, make sure you watch them on Twitch and all that. And they need more people to know, because not everyone is, you know, on YouTube or whatnot and knows what's going on, if there even is like an esports scene in general. Also, by 2020, Street Fighter V will have an impressive roster size. It'll be pretty damn huge. We've got 22 characters right now, and assuming they're going to add 6 characters every year, that'll be up to 46 characters by 2020, which is larger than Street Fighter 4's title, which is a pretty damn huge roster. I felt like that was a little too many characters, pretty overwhelming for someone to get in there, but we want more characters, right? So what do you guys think about this? Are you guys like kind of scared about this? Because, you know, not everyone likes Street Fighter V. Some people like the Versus series, right? The Marvel side of things. And we want to see, you know, we don't want to just sit on one fighting game for like 4 years, man. You know, NRS releases like a fighting game like every 2 years. But, you know, Street Fighter is hype, but it's just that we want to see more content in the game too. Can this really last as long as Street Fighter 4 did? Because Street Fighter 4 had revisions. It had discs coming out. It was like a fresh game on the shelves for people to buy, right? So, you know, can it rely just solely on the esports side? It's I don't know. It's debatable, right? Definitely debatable. But it's scary too that Capcom is like they really want to focus on getting Street Fighter V up to their expectations. So we'll have to see. This video is getting kind of long-winded. We'll probably talk about this more later. But let me know what you guys think about this, like the forecast with Capcom, what they're doing, what you think they should be doing. I'll check it out in the comments below. So yeah, guys. Till next time. Take care.